Hello everyone and welcome. In this video I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Fear the Walking Dead Season 7 Episode 14. As is the norm with all my videos, I won't be holding back on any spoilers, so please do keep that in mind. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin. This week's episode is titled Divine Providence, which proves that I was absolutely right when I said in my previous Fear the Walking Dead review that the Bible mentions Fear the Walking Dead, and that when Jesus Christ was dying on the cross, he spoke about how great this show is. And you all laughed at me. You all treated it as a joke and you said I was being silly and you all laughed at me. But who's laughing now, huh? Certainly not me, because this episode makes me want to kill myself. Fear the Walking Dead has spent much of its 7th season teasing this idea that Strand is the main antagonist and that he's going to be, the end game character who they have to fight this season. And since episode 8, it's also been teasing this idea that Strand is going to go to war with Alicia and the rest of the protagonists. And we've had to sit through so many awful bottle episodes this season, but here we are, episode 14, and finally the war is going to start. Finally things are going to get interesting. I mean, have a look at the episode synopsis.
As the battle for the tower heats up, Alicia brings the fight to Strand's front door.
Exciting stuff, right? I can't wait to see this battle take place. I can't wait to see this war between these characters. It never happens. There is no war. They lied to us. It doesn't happen because 10 minutes into this episode, Strand decides that he's now going to be a good guy, and he spends the rest of the episode helping Alicia, apart from the end when they fight again, but I'll get to that later. But yes, he spends the majority of the episode being a good guy because they have to team up to take down the new villain, Wes. Yes, fucking Wes is now the show's main villain for some reason. This is a dude who, when he was introduced, spent his time writing books and painting on trees. Yet in this episode, he suddenly turns into a mustache-twirling villain. What the hell is going on? So Wes launches a coup against Strand, and everyone just falls in line and follows Wes, which I don't understand because this dude, he's been at the tower for like a week. Why would anyone care about what he has to say? Why would anyone follow Wes? It doesn't make any fucking sense. But then again, that's just a running theme throughout this episode. Characters just do stuff which makes no sense, and their motivations change every 5 minutes, and it's just a mess. And as for Strand, at the start of the episode, he wants to use the herd of radioactive walkers to kill everyone. He wants to use them to kill all of Alicia's friends. Okay, I mean, a bit extreme, but whatever. And then he wants Alicia to join him in the tower. Live with me, stay with me in the tower. Even though I thought the whole point of him killing Will was that he didn't want Alicia in the tower, but okay, whatever. Then later on in the episode, these two have a heart-to-heart, and Strand says to Alicia, Will made me realise something I knew a long time ago. I love you, Alicia. It was always about that. I hoped this place would show you the type of man I am. What type of man is that exactly, Strand? A dude who throws people from rooftops? Like, what does this dialogue even mean? Anyway, the big bad Wes, old scary Wes, is a constant thorn in Alicia and Strand's side this episode, and he spends much of the episode kind of chasing them through the tower and trying to catch them, basically. And as we get towards the end of the episode, he kind of corners Strand and Alicia in this room. Well, they get in this room and then they put like these 2 drawers next to the door, which stops the Rangers getting in. And I mean, you could just probably push these aside, really easily. I don't know why it was so hard for them to open a door when he just put a couple of drawers in the way, but whatever. He corners these 2 in this room and he's about to shoot them when Daniel appears in just the nick of time to kill his Rangers. But Wes does get a shot on Daniel. He shoots Daniel in the chest, who just walks away and carries on as if he wasn't shot. So I don't know what the point of that was. He's shot and then he's absolutely fine after. Anyway, after he shoots Daniel, there's then a standoff between him, Strand, and Alicia. And then Strand waits for the moment to strike before stabbing Wes with his sword and killing him. And then Alicia's reaction to this is like, oh my god, why did you kill him? Because the dude was trying to kill you and he shot Daniel. What the fuck's wrong with you? Anyway, Strand and Alicia then make it to the roof of the tower. And bear in mind, these two have been kind of pally-pally the entire episode up until this point. Strand then goes back to being like a whiny little bitch. And he's like, oh, you'll never forgive me, Alicia. I saw it in your face. You'll never love me. Like some kind of fucking incel who'd just been rejected. Like, what the hell is going on? And then Alicia says, yes, I will never love you because you keep making the wrong decisions. Which is her trying to say that you made the wrong decision to kill Wes. Which is just nonsense. Like I said, Wes shot Daniel. He was going to kill you until Daniel entered the room. What the fuck is wrong with you, Alicia? And then these two start fighting. They start fighting on the roof because Strand killed Wes. What is going on? This is absolute fucking trash. So Alicia and Strand have a very badly choreographed fight on the roof. And Alicia puts like a Terminator arm through some kind of barrel containing a flammable liquid. And then the beacon breaks. Something falls on the beacon, it breaks. And then it sets this liquid on fire. And then the episode ends with Alicia passed out on the roof with the roof on fire and the whole tower on fire. But then after the episode, you immediately see the teaser for next week's episode in which Alicia is fine and just walking around in the middle of nowhere. So this cliffhanger there's no point to this cliffhanger. It's absolutely pointless. Oh, Alicia's going to die. Yep, here's a clip of her in next week's episode. Why even bother then? And that's basically the plot of this week's episode. It's just characters doing stupid shit. And there's a lot of stupid shit in this episode, so now I'm going to go over some of the other stuff which I haven't mentioned. So first of all, Alicia passes out like 4 times in this episode. Her illness doesn't make any sense. It still hasn't been explained to us exactly what's going on. And, it's just like she falls ill whenever the plot suits it. So at the start of the episode, she enters Strand's tower, and she looks pretty good. I mean, she even looks like she's got like lip gloss or lipstick on. I don't know where she found this in the post-apocalypse, but whatever. She looks fine. And then when she is holding Strand to gunpoint, she passes out. Oh, I'm gonna die. She passes out. Then she's in the infirmary and she looks like death. She's sweating. She looks like she's gonna die. And then 5 minutes later, she's running around like an Olympic athlete. She's fine again. Oh, she's fine. She's not fine. She's fine. Not fine. What is going on? This doesn't make any sense. You know that scene in Revenge of the Sith where Palpatine is fighting Mace Windu and he's like, I'm too weak, before then being fine and firing more Force Lightning at Mace Windu. That's what Alicia is like in this episode. Oh no, I'm dying. And then 5 seconds later, she's going around killing people. At the start of this episode, Strand notices that Alicia has Will's pendant round her neck, and she says that she recovered it when she buried Will's body.
When the fuck did we
bury Will's body? When did this happen? When did this happen? In episode 8, Alicia arrives at the tower and she sees the walker Will on the floor, and then she's like, we're going to war. And then in episode 9, she's at the deaf man's house because it turns out that, she fainted and she ended up at this house. So when did she bury Will's body? It didn't happen. Unless you're telling me that after episode 9, during the time she found the transmitter off screen, then she went back to the tower and found Will's body in the herd of walkers and buried his body. This is nonsense. This didn't happen. This did not happen. And this is just another example of the writers not knowing their shit. They can't even remember what happened in their own damn show. During this episode's second half, Strand, Alicia, and Daniel are trying to get to the roof and they're making their way through the tower. And then Strand accidentally walks into this room where Wes is and all his rangers are. And this is how he escapes the situation.
I'm not.
I love it. He just ducks and runs out the door. It's amazing. I wish I could do this to all my problems in life. Just run out the door. This is incredible. But what's even more amazing is that Wes doesn't even go after him. He just stands there. Why are you not chasing him through the door? Daniel believes that Ophelia is still at the tower, and Strand lets him believe this lie because Strand needs his help, and he says to him, yep, Ophelia's here, but she's on the roof. And he says that because he knows that then Daniel will just storm through the rest of the tower, taking down everyone, and he basically wants to use Daniel's skills, so he lets him believe this lie. But then what happens is, like I said earlier, Alicia gets taken to the infirmary, and whilst they're in the infirmary, Daniel finds this clipboard on the floor which has paperwork attached to it. And then he says to Strand, what's this? And Strand says, that is a document which details everyone at the tower. And this is just absolute nonsense for 2 reasons. I mean, reason number 1, it's so damn convenient that this important document is just lying on the floor of the infirmary, just so Daniel can find it, and then that he can discover that Ophelia isn't there. And reason number 2, why this scene pissed me off, is that why doesn't Strand just lie to Daniel? When Daniel said to Strand, what is it? Strand could just say, that's just a list of everyone who needs a health check, or that's just a list of people who, have medication. He could have said anything. Why did he go, yep, that's a list of everyone at the tower, and obviously Ophelia isn't on there, so yep, I'm lying. Just fucking lie. Why does he tell him the truth? This scene is terrible. I honestly have no idea why in season 7 we are doing this Ophelia storyline now. Why are we dealing with Daniel's PTSD now? This should have been done in season 4 or season 5 at the latest, not now 4 seasons after her death. I feel like the only reason why Daniel has this plotline this season is because it's a really weak attempt on the writer's behalf to try and appease some of the old school fans of Fear the Walking Dead. It's basically the writers saying, look, we do remember the old Fear the Walking Dead. Look, we've got a failure in here. Look at these flashbacks of a failure. We do respect you. We do like you, old fans. Please keep watching. That's all it's for. It's just there so that some fans can watch it and go, oh, look, it's Ophelia. An old character. I like her, so now I like this episode. That's all it's there for. It's just a really cheap and fucking lazy attempt by the writers to make you feel nostalgic for the old Fear the Walking Dead and to make people go, woohoo, a failure, yay! It's fucking nonsense. It's shit. It's a shit fucking narrative point. It's a waste of time. Daniel then decides to stay in the infirmary at Charlie's side, and this is one of those scenes which attempts to tug at your heartstrings, but I just found it really cringy because you've got Alicia there going, be the man that Ophelia wanted you to be, and it's just, oh, really corny dialogue. I hated it. But what also annoyed me about this scene is that Alicia and Strand are up against this entire army. They're up against Wes and all his rangers, and they just go, yep, you can stay here, Daniel. We'll be fine without you, Daniel. Don't you worry. Even though Daniel is supposed to be like this skilled soldier, you know, supposed to be this highly skilled ex-CIA or whatever he was in previously, you know, special agent. And they're just like, yeah, we don't need you. We'll just do this on our own. Take him with you. That was the whole fucking point of lying to him. And we also learned that Padre doesn't even exist. So, again, this is something else which has been teased all season. Just like with Strand being the villain, that ultimately amounts to nothing. Padre doesn't exist. Alicia says, no, Padre isn't real. And then she says that the entire reason why I wanted to bring this transmitter, which she found off screen, to your tower, Strand, is because I wanted to go to your roof and send a message to everyone out there saying that we can help and that this will be our Padre. And I just want to fucking throw up. This is so just corny and awful. And also, isn't this the exact same thing they did back in season 5, where they were, you know, on the radio putting out messages, is anybody out there? We can help you. Now they're doing the exact same thing again. Like, these characters don't learn. They don't learn from anything at all. In season 5, they ended up crashing their plane, nearly dying, losing their home because they tried to help someone over the radio and they were sending out messages to everyone. And now Alicia wants to do the exact same thing again. In a post-apocalyptic landscape, where people are likely going to want to take the tower and kill you and take it because it's that important, because apparently, you know, the tower is a safe haven in this middle of this radioactive place. And then Alicia thinks that it's a good idea. Yep, let's go and send messages out again to everyone. Why are we doing the same thing over and over again? Why? None of these characters learn anything from their past mistakes. They're all fucking morons. Anyway, that's about all I have for this episode. It's terrible because this has been what the season's been building up to, you know? Even when you've had to sit through these terrible bottle episodes, there is always, you know, something in the back of your mind which thought, okay, these episodes might be crap, but when we get to the war, you know, it might be exciting, we might see people die, we might see some good action scenes, and then that was just a misdirection. There is no war, there is no Padre, there is no point to this show. It's awful. I honestly think that this might be the worst season of Fear the Walking Dead. I think it might be, because 4 and 5 were terrible, but what is the point of season 7? The plot has gone nowhere. There is no point at all. I just don't understand. There's no point to this show. It's awful. It's absolutely fucking awful. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you soon next week for more brain trauma. See you then. Bye. Oh, one last thing that I forgot to mention is that in a previous episode, Morgan sailed away on his raft with Baby Mo to take her to a safer place to avoid this war, a war which didn't even happen. Amazing.